welcome to another little mini-sode of Song Title Challenge, where the question is, climbers, how would you write this one? This is a little episode where Brent and I get together. Climbers like you, listeners of this podcast, send in their song titles. Send as many as you want into info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. There is no S. info@daredevilproduction.com. Put song title challenge in the subject line. You can put STC if you want. That works too. So that it gets in the right folder. If you don't, it won't. And then I sort of scroll through them, and whatever blows my skirt up that day, I lay it on Brent live on the podcast. And we spend the next 15 to 20 minutes doing what you should be doing before you get to a write, or what happens sometimes at the very beginning of a write, where you're working out 3 or 4 or 5 different angles to write the same title, so that you ensure that you're not being cliche, that you're not just taking the low-hanging fruit. There might be something really, really worth it that can take even a mediocre or boring, straight up boring title and turn it into something special. So that's the idea. This is a fun, creative exercise. It's not a co-write in any way, shape, or form, so don't worry about that. If you take everything that we use, God bless. If you take nothing that we use, God bless. We just demand that you invite us to the number one party, and I demand that it be open bar. Is that okay?
Might be cheaper.
Brent will have one margarita and drive me home. I'll have enough for the both of us.
All right, let's say. It might be cheaper for them to give you part of publishing than to give you open bar. It's only a number one.
Hey now. That's allegedly. So, anything you want to add to that, my brother?
No, man. This is just hopefully get you fired up, inspired about going back through some old titles or some new titles and finding, that there may be gold underneath the aluminum. That don't stop at the aluminum, don't stop at the tin, don't stop at the silver. Keep going for the gold and the platinum. And so this is just a fun exercise. So let's get after it.
There you go. All right, let's do it. So this one is from climber Rick. I'm going to say this wrong. Rick Ambergy? Ambergy.
All right.
I think it's Ambergy. Forgive me, Rick, if I'm mispronouncing your name. Rick Ambergy, I believe.
All right, Rick. I'll just call him Rick.
And the song title is I Never Want to Get That Sober Again. I never want to get that sober again. This man's from the mothership.
All right. I never want to get that sober again. All right. You going to give me your hot take before I dive in?
Yeah, I got a hot take. This is super specific.
Yeah.
So I got a couple ideas on where we might be able to go with it, but I'm just, I'm wondering what we're going to come up with. The Austin Powers movie where he tries to turn around the
golf cart in the little bitty hallway.
It gets stuck.
Yeah.
I feel like we might be there, but let's see what we come up with. I've said that before and been gleefully and happily shamed at the end because I'm selling my own creativity and your creativity short. But let's see what we can do with this one. I never want to get that sober again.
Never want to get that sober again. So, all right. Thanks for sending that in, Rick. The title made me laugh, right? It made me chuckle first time I heard it. Y'all heard it. So that's a great place to start. If I saw this on an email or a CD or a playlist or whatever, I'd be like, oh, okay, I want to hear what they did with this. So I think it's a good title. It's a little bit long for these days, but it's intriguing. Like, never want to get that sober again. Okay. It was compelling to me. It made me laugh. So that's a good place to start.
It could be called Sober Again.
Sober Again.
It could be. And then that would make it clever because it would be like, I never want to get that sober again.
Exactly.
Would make that sort of interesting spin on it.
It would. It wouldn't grab me as much like without having heard it. It's just called Sober Again. Like, okay, I'm getting sober again or whatever. But it could punch you even harder not knowing it's coming. So it could sucker punch it. Yeah. So it depends. But the thing I think of is, okay, this has got to be a fun, the whole crowd's going, I never want to get that sober again,
Yeah, it's got to be an anthem. Yeah,
it feels like that is the kind of the only way to save it almost. Because you could be like, I was sober the day she left, and I cleaned up my act so she'd stay, and she left anyway, and I never want to get that sober.
That's sober. Oh,
right.
That just happened.
Yeah,
right out the bat, right out the gate with the good strong stuff.
Yeah, and that could be like country ballad, but I don't care. But if you go like, I cleaned up my act. I put, whatever, and then I cleaned it up, and she left me anyway.
I cleaned up my act. I did what she said. I made the bed.
She left anyway.
I saw her way, but she left me anyway.
So I never want to get that sober again. That's when the bad stuff happened.
Yeah, so, how's that working for you?
Exactly. That'd be kind of funny. I mean, total tongue in cheek. So it's funny taking the same idea that you could do as a ballad, like, oh, I never want to get that sober again because I'm so hurt by that. She left. To like a total just joke of, yeah, man, I showed up not hungover. I mean, I put my best into this job and I still got fired. And I never want to get that sober again. And she was a good girl. She wanted to take me home to mama. And so I teetotaled it, whatever. And you know what? We broke up anyway. And I never want to get that sober again. Bad stuff
I walked in and met her mom, and her mom was hammered.
Yeah, it'd be funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, that would just be, funny. I never want to get that sober again. Or it could even be lighter, because that's kind of that country cliche of, oh, I lost my job, I lost my girl, whatever. Is it just, what is it? Like, I remember that Friday night, basically, you were the DD or something, and everybody else was having a heck of a time and you didn't. And you're like, and I never want to get that sober again.
Oh,
which is just silly. Yes. Johnny, you got your hand up.
Okay. What if it is like, let's go down that road. Like what's the word I'm looking for?
Inspired you?
You springboarded me onto something else here. Right. So what if you decided to be the double D that night and you're all about the girl, right? You're all about this one girl. You're pining for this girl. You haven't figured out a way to say what you need to say. And you decide to go out with a group of friends and you're going to be the double D. Mm-hmm. And then some other guy gets her.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you got to take him home. So you feel like that guy in that video that we talked about in your last episode, man. Lane, Lane, where he's in the back,
That's funny.
And you know what I mean? So you're like, I never want to get this sober again. Like, this is the dumbest. I immediately regret this decision.
That's funny. Yeah. It's just super specific, but that's funny. I had to drive him home. Dang it. I'm uber ticked right now. Nothing's gonna lift my spirits. Thank you.
Just try the veal, folks. He'll be here all week.
Yes. It's really taxing my patience. So anyway, all right. So I never want to get that sober again. Whew. I mean, there's so many ways you could, it could be a story song about, guy went off to war or something and was sober that whole time or something. And was like, the stuff I saw, that'll sober you up. There's a thought to a sober. What does sober mean? Like, it'll sober you up. Like, this is a really somber, serious thing. And I never want to get that sober again.
Yeah. Dude, okay, hold on. I got another one.
What?
So I remember hearing this story about Travis Meadows, who I just freaking adore. Like, I think he's an amazing songwriter. Yeah. And he's got one hell of a story behind him. I mean, he had cancer when he was 14, lost his foot, lost both his parents. Like, he's had a very, very tragic life.
Yeah.
These are his words. He jumped down into the bottom of a bottle. Mm-hmm. And he's like, for like 7 years, I think, or something, he was loaded. And he's like, and he goes, and I mean, like, always loaded. Like,
yeah,
I never had a hangover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's a pregnant pause when he says that, and you're like, wow. But what if we turn that into like a fun party song? Like, because you know what happens when you get sober? You get a hangover. And that
Right.
sucks. You know what I mean? So it's just a total drinking song, like, quitting's for
Okay.
rehab, or rehab is for quitters.
Rehab's for quitters, yeah.
Or not, maybe don't put rehab in there because that's got a bad connotation. But,
Well,
but
yeah,
hangovers are for quitters. And
Yeah.
that's more lighthearted and more fun.
Okay, yeah. So here's how you serve that up.
Because you got to pay the bills, you got to
Yeah.
adult, and nobody,
Well, it's like it opens up the verse where you're waking up with that hangover, and you just paint that picture of like Saturday noonish or whatever. You're waking up and your head's
tongue stuck
throbbing
to
and
the pillow,
all that stuff, and from the last night, and so you make clear you're out drinking, and it's like, man, there's one thing I got to promise myself. I'm never going to get that sober again.
Yeah, that's where you think he's going to say, God, just get me through this.
Like, literally, he's just like, never going to drink again. He's like, I'm just never going to get sober enough to get this kind of hangover.
So you're serving up like that. God, if you get me through this, I promise I'm never going to get that sober again. That's awesome, dude.
Because if you don't sober up, you don't hang over.
Yeah.
And that could be just a dumb, like, could you almost make that thing? If you don't sober up, you can't hang over.
Yeah. That could be like a little secondary hook there.
A secondary hook, post hook kind of thing, or dumb kind of thing.
Okay, now I love this song. Now I love it.
See, that's all it was. And that's just the dumbest thing. And because that seems fun, though. I mean, I think you have to do it firmly, tongue in cheek, because there are people like Travis who went 7 years or something without ever getting sober. But, I don't know how else you're going to do that. Like, if you want to try and write a hit, that seems like that's the fun way to do it. Just a fun party thing. Like,
it has to be that. It has to be that anthem.
Yeah, where it's just we went out, we partied, and the only cure for this hangover is to never get that sober again. Because if you don't sober up, you can't hang over.
That's right.
You can't hit bottom if you don't come down. Whatever.
Yeah,
which is just awful. Just terrible.
You don't need the hair of the dog if you don't let it bite you to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah. Or some just ride that puppy out. So I don't need hair of the dog. I'm just going to saddle up on that puppy and ride it into sweet oblivion.
My wife came in and said, your eyes are bloodshot. And I thought, you should see them from this side.
Try looking out of them.
Yeah, try looking out of them. Woof.
So, I mean, and what if it's like, okay, so if it's the first verse, waking up hungover, obviously from drinking, and then you hit that, God is my witness, I never want to get that sober again, whatever. And I only one cure for this. Yeah, I never want to get that sober again. And that could be into the first verse, and then you do your sing along, because if you don't sober up, you can't hang over. If you don't stop having fun, fun's never over, whatever kind of thing. And like, where would you go in second verse? Is it just like, well, we're gonna hang out again tonight, so I gotta start from scratch? Or just like, or is it something else? While I'm up, here's the things I'm doing, like I gotta take out the trash and pay bills, and I'm just thinking, I'm way too sober to be doing this stuff. Is it that kind of thing? Like, you're just like, I'm adulting, and I don't like that either.
That's good. I mean, you could throw something in there. You could throw a nod to like Uber or something. Now that we got Uber, I don't even have to drive to the grocery store drunk. Like,
yeah. They can carry me and my groceries home.
That's right.
So to me, that just seems funny. Awful message. But, if you do it tongue in cheek, you feel that way in the moment. But obviously, this person is not going to actually spend the rest of their life leaving Las Vegas. So that seems fun. And to me, that just makes the most sense. What else? Because now we're definitely playing with house money for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, if you don't sober up.
Let's see. Well, I never want to get that sober again.
That's not the title. The title is I never want to be that sober again.
Yeah, I never want to get that sober again. I mean, it could have been about being a kid, before you could drink. But I never want to get that sober again. Let's see.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is not as much fun as like we went out. Well, being a kid is awesome, actually. Let's see. I never want to get that.
But what about the being a kid between the ages of like 18 and 21?
Yeah, it could be that kind of thing.
You know, where it's really frustrating, where they can ship you off to war, you can buy cigarettes, but we can't trust you with liquor.
Exactly.
Or beer. It seems silly.
Yeah.
And I think we're the only country on the planet that has that, by the way, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is weird. Yeah, the military age versus drinking age.
Well, even is there drinking ages anywhere in Europe?
Oh, dude, I do not know.
I feel like there isn't. Maybe I'm just thinking about like Spain and stuff like that. But
yeah, climbers, let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
because I know we have some international listeners. Let's see what else. I never want to get that sober again. I mean, so we talked about the seriousness of my girl left me, and I cleaned up for her. So screw it, basically now. But more
how about
of a
this? What are some
kind of
things you
thing,
stay sober for? What are some things you have to like stay sober for? What if it's like? What if
Well,
it's
it depends
like,
on who you ask. Not much. It depends.
But what if it's like when you had to go to? She's getting married, but she doesn't want to marry me, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know what
Which,
I mean?
that
Something like
even
that.
talks about like a flask in my, pocket, kind of take off a little bit of the edge. But even that, if you did something like, but I'm still too sober and I never want to get that sober again. Never want to get that sober again. I mean, what if this is a completely different kind of thing, but what if stuff that'll sober you up? This is way out there, but a guy telling a story about when they were drinking and driving and wreck, and his buddy got really hurt or somebody got killed. It's kind of that'll sober you up, and I never want to get that sober again.
Oh,
which really is a backwards way of saying I never want to get drunk and drive again. Yeah, because I don't want to get sobered up that way. The sober meaning not just okay, I'm not drunk anymore, but just the reality crashing down. That's super dark.
It's super dark. Well, but how about this? Is there? Maybe there's only one way to go with this because it's so specific. But yeah, what if that is an adjective to sober? That kind of sober again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what that means. Like that's kind of what you described.
Yeah.
How else could you spin that?
That
right?
particular kind of sober.
So it's like you're still saying. So I'm all about sober, but I never want to get that sober again.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, which is tricky. It's a little bit of Meatloaf. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Like what's that? Well, he describes it the line before. I saw VH1 Storytellers where Meatloaf he actually got out like the chalkboard and was like diagramming it because people didn't understand what that was. He's like, it goes back to here. Which that song was still a big old hit. Yeah. But still, that's kind of rough if you have to do that. So we want it to be simple if we can. Or you have to present it in a simple way, which can be done in a lot of cases. It's just that's where the professionalism, the craft comes in. I don't want to get that sober. I've been sober because that would seem like I've been sober this way, that kind of way, this kind of way, but I never want to get that sober again.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had sober from hungover sober. I've had sober because I haven't had a drink in 3 weeks, and I've had but man, that kind that hits you like when you're still buzzing, but she leaves you. I never want to get that sober again. So if you like set it up right, it could be like when the buzz kind of leaves because she leaves, or something where like it sobers you up. Oh,
that's it. So you talk about the buzz.
Yeah, it's the buzz.
And what's the buzz? The buzz is her. And it could be all about a song. And you're like, I was buzzing because of this and that. And it's all about her. But then she leaves and you're like, and then I lost my buzz. Yeah. And I never want to get that sober again. She's the buzz.
And right? If it is like, it's the, high on love thing or drunk on love kind of thing, which has been done a bunch, just kind of a little different angle on it. But, would that be asking her to come back then? I want to stay drunk on you, basically. I never want to get that sober again as I was when you left. Can we reconcile, basically. Like, I want you back because I never want to get that sober again. Because basically life's just one big hangover without you. So that could be more of a love thing. It's still kind of twisted and kind of weird. You know, you got to go around the block a little bit to get there. But the same kind of way of, you know, I've had this kind of sober, I've had that kind of sober, I've had this, but this kind, I never want to get that sober again. Could be a thing too, whatever that bad thing happened that made you lose your buzz, whether her leaving or whatever.
I do like how that becomes an adjective.
Yeah, it means more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just a different way of meaning what that is. Never want to get that sober.
That isn't that can mean a different level of sober.
Yeah.
Or that could mean a different kind of sober.
A different kind of sober coming from a different place. Yeah. Yeah. But
what else could that be? That could be, what if that's a person? What if that's your buddy?
I never get that sober because he's way more fun when he's drunk. Yeah. That mess over there, I never want to get that sober again. Yeah.
Listen, he might be a mess, but he's our mess. Exactly. And that mess over there, you don't want to get that sober again.
Yeah. You never want to get that sober again. That's funny.
Something like that could be interesting.
Yeah. You know, that a Friday night? That's a Friday night, and I never want to get that sober. Boy, that'd be hard to pull that off where people just get it and be like, oh, I'm talking about the thing that is that.
Yeah. What does that mean? What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring out the Pythagorean theorem.
Exactly.
Geometry.
Let's chart this.
So here's the way we came to this. This makes sense.
Yeah. So I think we got some good looks at it. Hopefully,
that's some great looks at it, man. And here's the thing: I think we just came like right out with the second hitter in the lineup and just hit a grand slam. That's it. It's the big anthem. It's if you don't sober up, you can't hang over.
Well, it's the I was watching this thing on YouTube earlier this morning about like some of Dave Chappelle's comedy secrets, and somebody was just breaking down some of like how he presents and some of what makes him so funny. I thought, well, this is interesting, you know? And part of it was like the kind of the fake out where his tone would lead you to think he's doing, you know, he's having a serious moment. And then he drops this unexpected, you know, total twist of what he thought he was going to do. He thought he was in a whole set, you know, there'd be some maybe kind of serious moments and then lighthearted or whatever. So he's saying something real serious. He's like, oh God, my head hurt. And I thought, dear Jesus, I never want to get that sober again. Yeah, it's a punchline. It's a total joke punchline. And, you know, you're saying it seriously and you're like, whoa, yeah, I'm never going to get that sober again. Which makes perfect sense when you get it.
And that's such a great stadium arena song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be, it's got to be that anthem.
And you got a little bit of an almost internal rhyme with get and again, get the in there a little bit. I never want to get that sober again. It's got a little bit of that kind of thing to it.
It rolls off the tongue. It's rhythmic. Yeah.
It's got a little bit of that to it. You can play off and
like the Don Henley little side hook, you know, kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down, kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down. If you don't sober up, you can't hang over. If you don't sober up, you can't hang over. Right. That's just pop culture. Those are just hooks, man. Mm-hmm. That's like, I want to write this song now.
They're almost some hooks. And it also works not just for country, but, you know, why can't that work for a rock thing, for, you know, a fun party rock thing, for a rap thing? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So, you know, it could run through several lanes. Not Southern gospel. Not that angle. So,
because even if you try to make it all about Jesus, the front row Baptists are still going to be pissed off.
Yeah, no, they'd get a letter. They'd get a letter for sure. Yeah,
you can't say
that's not happening.
That suggests we were drunk.
Exactly. Yeah,
we don't drink. But wait a second, Jesus turned water into wine. Shut up when you're talking to me.
It's different.
It wasn't so they could drink it. It was just for a story in the Bible. They didn't actually drink it.
It didn't say you can't drink it. It said don't get drunk. So, anyway, fun fact for you. All right. Rick, thanks for sending this in, man.
So if he wants to write this with you, what does he do?
Yeah, so I do songwriter coaching, consulting. I do private song title challenges, meaning if you have some titles you don't want to share on the show, you can schedule a time with me and we can go over them in private online from anywhere in the world, and then you have them all to yourself. You can see my calendar. You can get all the details. You can book a session at songwritingpro.com/coaching. That is songwritingpro.com/coaching. I will be happy to help you prepare your song, to repair your song, to answer your questions about the art, the craft, the business of songwriting. I am at your disposal. So again, that is at songwritingpro.com/coaching.
There you go, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of another killer song title challenge. Send in your song titles, as many as you want. Don't worry about my hot take, because I'm often wrong. I don't think we lost a man yet on this one.
I don't think so.
Like we seem to be able to pull it out of a hat. But send it to info@daredevilproduction.com. Put STC or song title challenge into the subject line so it gets in the right folder. And we'll see you in a couple weeks, guys. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.